Hi everyone, I'm Khumo and welcome to Bioskop and Champagne, a place where we watch movies, series and everything in between. Today we will be finishing off the series Married at First Sight Mzansi. Guys, when I tell you what is Yashuba, you're at the right place. I'm glad you're here. And thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed so far. Don't forget to like the video, comment below, and also subscribe if you're new. And click the notification bell so that you are notified every time I post something. So, we're going to start at episode 11 and go into the reunion, which is a 2-hour special, by the way. Very happy about that. Connect TV loves us. Mzansi Magic loves us. And we love it back. Episode 11. Zithobile and Thami in their apartment gossiping about what had happened the night before with the golden envelope task. If you remember correctly, Dee stormed out after Kuzo answered a couple of questions. Insecurities flared up and it was bad. Zithobile does say that she has just spoken to Dee and she can confirm that they are doing better today. Zithobile does postulate that for them to be going through a rough patch right now, it's because they started off so beautifully and so smoothly. Everything was going so great, and now real marriage is setting in for the both of them. Thami then says Kuzo seems to be a very observant guy, and it is only when he is around everyone else that he's comfortable sharing any of his thoughts. And he thinks that Kuzo finds it safer to share his feelings around other people because Dee tends to not allow him to share his feelings at all. It's giving shut up. Okay, it's giving you breathing right now is a problem, but I will allow it. Thami also recognizes and saw that Dee tends to interrupt the man all the time and always has to have a say in whatever he's trying to communicate to everyone else and to her. With Zithobile, she thinks that Kuzo is one of those types who hoards his feelings and will bring them up 7 weeks after they happened. That is a bad thing because she and her husband realized that they should not do that and that it sort of contributes to annihilating their marriage and their connection. All the couples go on their 6-week anniversary dinner. They go individually, of course. Everyone goes to their dinner except for Khumo and Thabang because of Khumo's schedule again. Guys, like, what's going on? Is Khumo trying to get a promotion at work? I don't understand. She does work at an airport, that we know, but what kind of hours are these? Girl. This is the couple's last date before decision day. They are also celebrating having lived together for 6 weeks and are also fast approaching moving out day from their apartment. They essentially reminisce during the dinner, reminisce about how living together has been, how being married to the other person has been, all of that good jazz. Kuto's favorite part of being married was waking up next to someone. He does say that he will miss that quite a lot. Dee does sort of like cutely complain that Kuzo is such a distraction. He's such a tall glass of cold water. Well, he's so that she gets distracted and she tends to put away all of the books and her studying time stops every time he comes back from work. They then fantasize about like disappearing, procuring new identities and living together wherever they find solace. Kuzo does also joke that his aunt is quite the negotiator and will bring the 100,000 dowry amount down to 5K. So they laugh about that. It's pretty cute. Sebenzile and Buitepo have found a place that they love and they are looking forward to transforming the space into something that is a home. Z feels a lot of happiness and joy because her family loves Thami so much. They themselves and their marriage is in a good place. They are laughing more. They are finally connected and she seems very happy and it's such a 180. I think they are forcing things, but whomst am I? whomst am I? They then talk about their visiting arrangements after they move out of their apartment, since they will be living apart. Thami then jokes that they could do a lot of things. One thing in particular that Z could do is to cook with all the grannies outside with the fire on the floor with those black pots. Yeah, well, here you go.
So when I come visit you, you're staying indoors.
So I think like you should be cooking for the grannies.
She gives him the how dare you even say that look of like, stop joking, Mara. I think he really is serious. He would love to see her kotiza within an inch of her life. The couples then get a red box full of memories. Inside, they find pictures from their wedding day and also their vows, to which they recite to their partner again. Zithobile becomes emotional when she sees the vows and reads them again and hears them actually from Thami. D says with her marriage, they really have come from hell and back. They also find in the box a sexy dice game for adults, and Zithobile is like, this is a game we are not allowed to play in public. Thami in his diaries talks about how Zithobile doesn't really like to talk about it. And for him, he thinks is the backbone of a relationship. Z then at the table reveals that no, but I have suggested we have intercourse, coitus, in the kitchen, outside of the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the car, and he refused, guys. When will this man be happy? He flat out refused, and he was talking about how, oh my God, the logistics of doing it in the kitchen. What are we holding on to? The microwave? She's giving submissive energy and she wants to be dominated. Thami, please meet this woman halfway. That's all I'm asking for, sir. Sebenzile and Boitepo recite their vows to each other, and it's so romantic. Also, Khutso and D do the same thing as well as Thami and Zithobile. Thami's vows, they're like 3 pages long. All 3 pages. And I was wearing a heel this big. So... yeah, she was kind of fed up, but also taken by like his vows and how long they were. Khutso feels that Ditshwanelo's vows were very deep and she was promising way too much for a stranger she didn't know at the time. Ditshwanelo does recognize that Khutso has a really dry sense of humor and that she's getting used to it day by day. So it's moving out day from the shared apartment. They get another note from production that says if they're willing to still live together off camera for another 2 weeks, they are welcome to, and production will organize those accommodations for them. We see Khumo and Thabang packing in the bedroom. Khumo is complaining about how Thabang has only just started packing, even though he's been in the house the whole day. In her diaries, she says she has to always check in with Thabang like he's a child, even when she's at work, so that things actually get done. Khutso is sad that they are moving out. He says they were finally in a groove within their marriage, and this moving out business has now disrupted that. He does discuss with D that they will have to spend more time at her place because D does live with her son full time. He doesn't know if he's ready to be a full-time father, but he is accepting the challenge. So Khumo and Thabang get their red box. Remember, they didn't get a chance to go to the celebration dinner. One regret that Khumo does have in regards to the experiment is that she wishes all of the people that she loved had been there. They also go through the reciting of the vows, and yeah, it's a cute moment. Thabang does reflect that they started on a high, but things went downhill quickly. Makhumo, while they are having their discussion, tells Thabang that she has felt like she has been mothering him this whole experience.
Did you have any concerns through the whole marriage?
He always needed me to be there to mother you.
She says every time she stopped doing household chores, it was very apparent that she stopped doing the household chores. She also adds that Thabang is a child who cannot take care of himself or entertain himself. It's giving clownery, it's giving Joker vibes right now. Thabang childishly, like a child, he says he never did certain things because he wanted to see how Khumo would react. Hey, this man. He says, and I quote, "I never did certain things just to see her reaction." He's telling us that he's lazy and he was performing his laziness, right? Just to see how Khumo would react, right? Right? He's just performing. He's acting out the laziness. It's not really who he is. Khumo also says it's not like there weren't any changes. He did change after they had a chat about it, and that for the first time she saw him hang the laundry in the 6 weeks they've been living together. She saw this man power on the washing machine for the first time in 6 weeks. It says a lot. To me, that's saying that Thabang is a slave driver, aka giving Thami energy, a menace. Thabang also is happy that they have sorted through a lot of their issues, but he is kind of sad that they did it a bit too late. And despite that, he still sees a future. Khumo, she's glad that the 2-week break is coming up. She needs space from this man. She needs to think. She's ready to be away from him. The couples that were willing to move in together for 2 weeks off camera were Thabang and Khumo, Boitshepo and Sebenzile, as well as Thami and Zithobile. This means that they lived together for 2 weeks, then were apart for 1 week before decision day. During that 1 week separation, this is what went down. Obviously, during that week, they were given time to reflect and truly make a decision without people hovering over them. We see Sebenzile, who's with his friend. His friend asks him if he was truly happy during his marriage. And the look he gives his friend is like deer in the headlights. I feel like he doesn't even know what to say. So were they really happy or not? Like, this is confusing me now. It's like, so when you are alone, now you're really looking at the situation from the outside. We go to Boitshepo, who's with her friend, and Boitshepo is gushing about how when they were living together with Sebenzile, it was great, everything was rosy. They have found a place outside of production, as they said during their celebration dinner, and they are excited to move in together. Sebenzile, for me, is giving someone who has cold feet. He does confess to his friend that he's sharp to do all of the little nitty-gritty things to make their new place a home. And when Boitshepo communicated to him that she feels like she's doing everything alone, that gave him pause, and he sort of took a step back and sort of is now on the fence with his decision. His main worry is that since there isn't enough quality time, and she is sort of communicating that I feel alone in the moving in and the preparing of our place together, he fears whenever this happens again where he's busy for a long period of time, will it always be an issue that she will complain and it will sort of cause a rift between them. He says he's not even sure he's ready to become a husband. With Boitshepo, she says she is 100% certain that she will be with Sebenzile no matter what. Two different planets. They are on two different planets. We visit Kuto, who's with his friend. He has shared with his friend about the whole co-parenting thing, and he feels like he was competing with the co-parent, which has been a thorn in their marriage. And he does say Ditwanelo has agreed to try and fix it and make sure that there is a proper balance. Dee video chats her would-be friend Danielle. She says that she has a therapy appointment already scheduled for the day after decision day. So if he does say no to her, she is set. She has things in place to make it better. Khumo also confesses to his friend that, bro, like, we are very different. We have very different personalities. He doesn't want to speak in very high tones like D. And he's hoping that they can meet each other halfway and compromise when it comes to that. He doesn't want to be shouting the whole day. He wants to speak as he always speaks, which is like, hello, very low, very low. He's like, hello D, how are you doing today? Hey, I don't think you'll ever see this man scream unless maybe like he's trying to, maybe he's hurt. We visit Thami and his friend. Their conversation revolves around how Thami and Zithobile were both expecting different things, but they still worked with what they had. Zithobile is speaking to her mother. Her mom asks if she is still willing to be together with Thami and carry on their marriage. And Zithobile seems very conflicted because her mother really does love Thami. But her mom advises that Zithobile should put herself first. She shouldn't be thinking about how everyone else is going to react to her decision. She needs to think about her and what that means in terms of moving on either with or without Thami. Her happiness is number one. Thami and his friend, polygamy does come up. Thami mentions how Zithobile's uncles did ask and were curious about polygamy and how it works. Since Z is going through fertility issues, Thami did find it kind of weird that the uncles were asking about polygamy. With polygamy, he can marry a second wife in order to grow the family in terms of having children. But Thami knows that Zithobile does not want polygamy at all. She doesn't want to see that thing. Zithobile's mother advises she shouldn't let fear dictate her decision because she may end up missing out on something or end up literally happy alone. Please be alone, you'll be happier. That's all I want, for you to be happy. And aloneness, not even aloneness, but like being away from that man, being away from Thami equals happiness, ma'am. We go to Khumo, who's being visited by her friend. Her friend knows that Khumo is stubborn and cheeky. She is asking after Thabang and wondering if he is okay. After 6 weeks, is it 6 plus 2? 8 weeks of living together. We then visit Thabang as well, who shares that the journey that he went through with Khumo was a unique one, and it also has been very tough. He does ask his friend whether, judging from what he's seen so far, whether they will stay together, and the friend is like, no, you guys won't stay together, and that's okay. In his diaries, Thabang does share that with Khumo, there's a bit of insecurities there. He does explain how they all went to Konka, a club where they were trying to have fun, and Thabang saw someone, a woman friend who he has been acquainted with for a while, and when Khumo was in the toilets, he went over to speak to her. There was some resentment coming from Khumo's side in response to that. The friend does then ask her, oh, did you tell the friend that you are married? Ari, not really, but you can see on my hand that I'm wearing this ring. Obviously, it must say Marit, Tekken of Le Marquette. Yabo? Seems that they are both on the fence with their final decision. Episode 12. Dee does say that she is very anxious about permanently living with Khumo. She says whenever they are apart, Khumo doesn't communicate as frequently or is not consistent with communication. She's afraid that that will cause a rift between them. With Khumo, he is basing his decision not on a desperation for companionship, but on, does this relationship make me happy? He will not overlook all of the red flags in his decision. He will look at the full picture and make a decision from that. But his choice is made. It is locked in. We are at decision day. Whoop. The experts come together and they sort of react. They're a panel and they are reacting to everyone's decisions to either stay married or get a divorce. Ooh. And guys, they have written speeches. It's cute, you know, they reminisce. So D and Kuto say yes, they stay together. I'm very worried for him. It's like, do you need, like blink twice if you need to escape? I hope he's okay. He decides to stay, and so does she. The experts are happy and they see great promise between them. As long as they go to therapy, they can maintain this level of happiness within their marriage. Kuzo does say after they've decided, he will have to call Ditwanelo's mother so that they can talk about the steps going forward. Msebenzile's decision has been on and off. He says that he's worried about the fact that they have not fought and don't know adversity. B has been feeling strange since they've been apart for a whole week, but the time apart has given her a different perspective to her relationship. They decide to stay together. Okay, both of them say yes. B feels like she's become a softer woman. She's not as much of a tough cookie when she is around Sebenzile. She's so happy, she's glowing, guys. Sebenzile is still not sure if he's ready to become the head of a household, and in spite of that, one thing he does know is that he has had a wonderful time with Boitepo. The experts, after hearing their decision to stay together, are very happy. One of the experts even says that they are a clear picture of people who were ready. They did the self-work and they came onto the show knowing what it is they wanted and were willing to work hard for what they currently have. Khumo decides to stay in the marriage, but Thabang decides to divorce her. Oh, guys. And the story behind the story is this. Thabang's speech starts very lovey-dovey. It is painting a beautiful picture of their time together during the experiment. And then page two of his speech then goes downhill, and guys, it goes pear-shaped. What he alleges is that the entire time Khumo has been talking to another man, and he has screenshots to prove it. He says that initially he did give her a chance to tell him the truth, and this guy she's been talking to has been around since the beginning. She came into the experiment with this guy hanging on her coattails, and they had a discussion on their honeymoon that she would stop what she's doing and concentrate on their connection.
My decision is not to continue this marriage, as I realized and got confirmation that you've never been fully invested in our relationship. Without revealing too much of the details, I've discovered you're still talking to the man that you were speaking to on the first night we got married. I have the screenshots, and in those said screenshots, you're begging this man to express his love for you.
Thabang says that Khumo even has a ghost account where she is advising this mystery man on how to win her heart back. He does say that he's given her multiple chances to come clean, and she did, even though it wasn't 100% of the truth. In his diaries, Thabang feels Khumo has had this guy as a safety net the whole time, just in case their connection didn't work out.
She was trying to build a safety net in case doesn't fly with her and we don't continue. She has something to fall back on, which I feel was very selfish. And
he is more disappointed than he is hurt. So what do you mean? And also, at the back end of that, Khumo counters his allegations, saying that, so what about the woman you've been talking to the whole time during the experiment? You've been talking to her behind my back. Every time she calls, I can so much just hear the voice has changed. What about that, sir? And he counters that and says, no, that's not the conversation we're having right now. This is not about that. This is not about me. This is about you. It's about you and how you cheated on me. Me. You see now? The audacity. You see, audacity is free, guys. For men, mahala ha. And Khumo does confess that she is kind of disappointed that she would give him her passcode in confidence, thinking that he wouldn't do anything. But here he is, snooping around. Why would he do that? Guys, these two have met their match. Both of them are off the rails crazy. Where they were just playing games. Actually, it's an episode of Tinder, this one. I even rewinded, guys. I rewinded the television set, and I was like, no, maybe I didn't hear right. But no, this is actually happened. Thabang came with receipts. He came with receipts that this chick has been talking to another guy, and apparently this man she talked to a couple of nights ago, and after talking to him for like 2 whole hours, she went to bed and cried herself to sleep. And he only found out everything the week of the separation. And that's why he is very staunch on his decision to divorce her. He even said, P.S. your ex-husband. Oh! Guys, didn't I tell you, these two? They are players, these two. And they made their match. And like, these people were just friends. They were just friends. They didn't have chemistry. They didn't have that emotional chemistry. They were just friends who looked good together. Instagram goals. You know, like when you look at them, you're like, obviously they're going to like each other. Why wouldn't they? They're both hot. So now things have come to a head. Gobi. Khumo, in her diaries, she says that they have been living 2 different lives anyway, and essentially it's like she even threw up the peace sign. She was like, I'm out of here, it's fine. And my head's maybe gancani, but like really it's not gonna affect my life. Dr. Anele throws up his hands in adulation. He is happy that Thabang decided to break it off because why? They have a toxic dynamic. He says that there was no connection, and then Khumo herself was playing around. You know, it's a playground to her. Even Thabang too. Both of them, they are just playing around because he's a cheater, she's a cheater. They were just like playing a game. And it was Tinder tales galore. Thami comes into decision day with the feeling of whatever happens, he's gonna roll with it. Whatever she says, he's gonna go with. Zithobile, on the other hand, doesn't really know what she's gonna say. She's not sure as yet. She's walking up to the spot where they're gonna decide, and she still doesn't know. She does confess that she doesn't want to regret her decision either way. And then, guys, let's talk about Thami's vows. I feel like they were Googled, they were downloaded from the net and not from his heart. If you listen to them very carefully, you can spot the difference when someone has written something from the heart and referenced from glue, right? But with Thami, this man showed us once again that he doesn't give a flying rat's booty. I've heard better from Wana, a child, someone who's in grade 3. A child has written better vows than what I heard from Thami. And he had a whole, like, how many pages was it? I think it was 2 or 3 pages. And she got emotional over them, which is saying that the bar is very low. On her side, the bar is in hell, and I don't love it for her. She doesn't deserve that. No way. You wake up that day, you put on your beautiful dress, you put on your shoes, put on makeup, you do your hair, only to hear that. Angeke, mina ngathi take 2. Or you know what, see you tomorrow. Do better. Be better. Because wow, guys, wow, Thami's Googled vows weren't that great. The last part, yeah, it's giving, okay, this is what he's really feeling. But 75% of it, no way. It can't be. In Zithobile's speech, she says that she felt that they weren't getting along at the beginning, but things did change after they put in the work, and now they are happy. And Zithobile does decide to stay.
I'm choosing to say I'm staying.
To which Dr. Anele reacts very appropriately. He's like, what the he didn't say that. His face fell. This was so cringe, guys. They are forcing the issue. There is no connection. There's nothing there to even cultivate. It's just nothingness, nothing. When Zithobile says she's staying, you can see how low self-esteem makes you do things like this. She doesn't realize how much of a prize she is. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Any man, guys, would put her on a pedestal. But this one doesn't. He barely meets the threshold of giving her the bare minimum. He doesn't even do that. Guys, it's so sad. And Thami, in the confessionals, when they're together, he says that he's happy that he's going to be eating nice food going forward. He doesn't mention anything about how he landed a beautiful queen, about how she's going to help him grow and bring love and joy and peace to his heart and home and life. He is more happier about gaining a chef than he is about gaining a partner. This alone, him saying, hey, I'm going to be eating nice food going forward, should just say and tell everyone that this man was there to land himself a chef. Wow. He then also says, thank you for choosing me. To which Zithobile says, aren't you going to choose me back? You also see, I feel like he never misses an opportunity to show us that he really doesn't care. He's very selfish, as the experts have expressed. He's a narcissist in which everything is all about him. And it also shows that Zithobile is groveling and begging him to choose her. Guys, I'm crying. On the inside, my heart is breaking. Can you hear it? And then here's the kicker. Zithobile says that she only made her decision after hearing him say yes. If he had said no, she was also going to say no. She didn't say that last part, but she said she made the decision on the spot. She wanted to see if this man actually saw her, actually appreciated what she has done already before she made the decision. What you do on the right, you do on the left. So, guys, I wanted to switch off my television, I wanted to, get on my knees and pray. I don't know. I wanted to switch off my TV. I was so let down. She let a whole nation down. She let all the women in the world down. I really hope she rises from this decision. She will regret this decision. She will be like, damn, I was really that low. Because right now, ma'am, you really that low. You chose the worst thing anyone could have chosen on that show. The experts obviously are not happy. They think that this union is a ticking time bomb. And when someone who studied counseling, studied psychology says that, that should give you an idea of, this is really bad. And guys, that's how it all ends. By the way, the first reunion, the first part, it was a rehashment. They were just rehashing what they were thinking and what they said. Man, hi. I've changed my clothes because in honor of the reunion, I wanted to come in fashion, even though it's not really giving at the same time. But here I am. And let's continue. I'm going to break up the reunion in part 1 and part 2. I would say that I might not like Thami, but Thami made the show and the reunion fun to watch. The drama he came with was not fun to live, if you ask Zithobile, but it was fun to watch. Reunion part 1. It's filmed one day after Decision Day, and let me tell you, it sort of sucked. Dr. Zenda and Drs. Dlamini, they are all playing hosts. All of the couples get a look back at their journey so far. When the voiceover said one day after the decision, I was like, but what are we going to get from this? The hosts start with Zithobile. They ask obviously everyone how they're doing. Zithobile says that she is happy for today. Ditwanelo feels that they have found the right partner for her. The experts did her a solid. Puto does express that the deeper they went into the experiment, the more that he found he was being triggered. He lost his cool more than usual. He thought he was this cool cucumber, but alas, he was paired up with D. D touches on the golden envelope task. She feels that the game was mean and obnoxious. But you do remember that within the game, what did she say? She threw down the gavel, and what did she say? Everybody answer every single question, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. But now things were mean and obnoxious. She did not mention anyone in particular, but we all know who she was talking to. She was talking to Boitepo. I feel that with the game, yes, it was meant as a diabolical ploy by the production to get drama out of everyone that night. But Boitepo did what was instructed. She answered a question that was posed to her, and Ditwanelo could not handle the answer. She could not handle the truth. You know the movie, right? You can't handle the truth. In my opinion, Ditwanelo hated the player and not the game, and that is her mistake. You can't hate someone for answering a simple question. Sebenzile and Boitepo, they go back to the whole situation about him having feelings for his ex. And guys, like, it's like beating a dead horse. We get it. The man has learned from his previous relationship, and now he is a better man for it. And Boitepo is reaping the benefits of that. It's that simple. They are at the moment working to achieve each other's goals. So yeah, man, two heads are better than one. Khumo and Thabang, as you can remember, the whole cheating scandal happened. So we found that Khumo was cheating on Thabang during most of the experiment. So she was essentially in a relationship the entire experiment. Her entire marriage to Thabang was tainted by this other relationship she was having with this. She only broke it off with this man 2 months after they had gotten married. So a whole 8 weeks she was messing around with this dude. Khumo herself does come out and say she wasn't really invested in the experiment. Counters and says it wasn't Thabang who asked the question about unfinished business. It was actually her. Says that she gave Thabang her phone password just to see whether he would go through it in the end. And it worked. She even says, no, the rat ate the cheese. I feel like she's such an icon for saying that. She will forever be an icon. This is a pop culture moment in South Africa. Now do you see how these two have been playing in our faces? They've been unserious the whole time. Yes, they did have the conversation about unfinished business, and you should close this door and you should close that portal. These two played in our faces, and like, I don't know if I'll ever get over it. They took the spot of someone who would have been more serious. But I must say that I do respect Khumo for standing on business. She boldly says she does regret how things went down, but isn't sorry for how she has handled the situation so far. Lying? She was lying. Thabang, on the other hand, does still feel betrayed, and that how Khumo has dealt with everything was not correct in his eyes. Thabang then pours his heart out and says, no man, I've been in love with this girl ever since I laid my eyes on her. He has told Khumo of this fact. He does express that their conflict resolution was non-existent and the issue festered the entire marriage. And then Khumo drops a bomb. Khumo says that Thabang would get phone calls from a mysterious lady that she didn't know, because according to Khumo, Thabang has told her about all of the other women that are in his life, either professionally, family, all of those things, but this specific woman has never been mentioned even once. And it is that fact that made Khumo sort of take a step back from the marriage and leave a door open for the other man to be there. Khumo then says that she is a spiritual person, so in a sense her ancestors have been showing her that Thabang has been sort of busy emotionally, even physically, with this other woman he's been having long conversations with over the phone. She has seen these visions 3 times, and she definitely believes and knows that Thabang was also unfaithful. Thabang then reveals his true feelings, that he still feels very deeply for Khumo. Khumo, on the other hand, says that she is sorry, but she's not even sure what she's sorry for. Then we get to Zithobile and Thami. The reasons we do things, eh? Zithobile is grateful for the experience, and apparently Thami doesn't even know what the plan is when the hosts ask him where to from here. Thami is like, I'm him in Dubai whenever schools are closed and she is on holiday. The plan was to get the families together to send a letter of intent of marriage. The plan is to be happily married. Everyone then, including the experts, give Thami the advice of he needs to have a vision and he needs to get it quick. Part 2 of the reunion was filmed 9 months after decision day. It is hosted by Ntombi Mzolo. Everyone is there in the flesh except for Thami, who joins via Skype. And he is in Dubai. He finally went back to Dubai without his wife. I was just like crossing my fingers, hoping that they would not be together. Ntombi does open up the show talking about the 90-day rule and how everyone found it. Zithobile does explain that she wasn't about to get into bed with a stranger. Thami the Terror comes on and counters that no man, it was weird to be with a woman who wasn't into coitus like he is. When he says that, Zithobile rolls her eyes. Oh my god. Guys, I must say also that Zithobile, the whole reunion, looks pissed off. She looks like she doesn't want to be there. She looks like she wants to freaking flip the table over because she is so pissed. She looks pissed. She's there for the tea. Other than that, she wants nothing to do with the show. As you can remember, Dee and Kuzo did go to separate wings of their suite the night of their honeymoon, but they did consummate later on, soon after really. I think the morning after their honeymoon. And so did Sebenzile and Boitshepo. Dee and Khutso are still married. You can somewhat see by their outfit. They are matchy, so it's a given. He does reveal that he hasn't paid lobola yet. They are still waiting for Dee to finish law school. What they have been doing the past 9 months has been dating really within their marriage. They went back to basics. Khutso does say that he did feel very, very naked in front of the nation, having gotten married in the way he has. And he felt the need, they both felt the need to date without the pressure of the cameras so that they could get to know each other better, and it's going great so far. Dee still has 2 more years of law school left, and she is very adamant that she will not be starting a family within the next 2 years. Khutso reiterates that he does want children, but it is not a prerequisite for Dee to have a child in order for him to actually marry her traditionally. He does touch on the fact that their co-parenting situation is no longer such a big elephant in the room anymore, and that they have come to a compromise. And we find that Dee has not met Khutso's co-parent, and with Khutso, he does say that the threesome question in the golden envelope questions game was a blessing in disguise. He explains that he would not have known how hypersensitive Dee really was if the question had not come up. And in that regard, he would not have quickly had to learn coping mechanisms and the tools to speak it through so that they can move forward from it in a healthy way. Ntombi does ask Boitshepo what she feels surrounding her and Khutso, and B reiterates again and says it wasn't about being this evil villain on TV and causing drama in that way. She was just answering a question, and apparently she got shot down because of that. Online, she got shot down because of that by Dee on the night of the game, and I don't know what the big fuss is about, she said. She wants it to end already. We find that it was actually Thami who asked himself the question about his sexual orientation. And when they're talking about it now among themselves on set, Dr. Anele, who is one of the experts that's there, and Dr. Zenda is there as well. But Dr. Anele, when everyone asks, like, but why would you do that to yourself? Why would you even ask yourself that question? Dr. Anele says that no, he is reflecting? He's mirroring, something like that, in the sense of like, no, he actually knows his sexual orientation, but he won't admit it to himself. He just wants everyone to have a whole hoopla over it so that he can have the spectacle to watch. For him to frame Thabang for it, it's so childish. It's really childish. I get it. It's not like I don't get it. I get it. It's Thami the Terrible. I get it. Ntombi then turns the conversation to Zithobile and Thami the Terrible. Zithobile breaks down. It breaks my heart. Even her saying that you can see in her eyes that she is so heartbroken, that she wasted her time, that she was put through this for literally no reason. She feels the experts matched her with Thami the Terrible for ratings. Dr. Anele, the way he tries to advocate for the fact that they were only working from the understanding of profiles that were given to them. And the way he apologizes comes off so sincere. This man is incredibly sorry for what has happened. You can feel it come off the screen. And he does say that this is an experiment. Essentially, it is science. Yes, the parameters are fixed, but sometimes things do go wrong, and in this case, it was them pairing Zithobile with Thami the Terrible. Ntombi does ask that if you feel this way, Zithobile, why did you then recommit to this man. She was talking about how Zithobile needs to take accountability for saying yes and recommitting to him again. And Zithobile answers that, yes, I do take accountability. And I recommitted and said yes because this whole time I've been doing things a certain way. And this time I thought that if I changed my decision making, maybe things would change for the better. She recommitted, which was a big mistake. You can see in her face that she made the worst mistake of her life. Thami the Terrible is still the same misogynistic a-hole he's always been. He says Zithobile kicked him out of her mother's house after recovering from an accident he had in January of 2024. He was in hospital in Witbank, Imalahleni for 2 months and was in a coma for 1.
It's funny how he remembers those kind of things. He doesn't remember every other thing that happened.
Can you tell us what happened? Is this how it happened? What happened?
He was in the hospital for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a coma for 1 month.
Yes.
Not this 5 months he's talking about. Thami exaggerates. The way I think him, there was no such thing. We had a discussion and I asked, are you still happy here?
Okay.
Are you happy? And he said yes. And I said, I'm not happy.
Zithobile counters this victim playing card that he's trying to play and says that, no, man, this guy, Thami the Terrible, was busy planning a whole life outside of me. He was buying houses, he was buying land, he was building houses even. He would ignore her for hours after she had driven from where she was to her mother's house to see how he was doing. Witepo interjects and says that with Thami the Terrible, his breadwinner status has gone to his head. His ego is too big for his britches. When Witepo says that, Thami the Terrible comes at her and he answers with vitriol. Thami, after a whole interrogation by the host, finally admits his wrongdoings within the relationship. He does say that he didn't prioritize quality time with his wife or essentially give her attention. He then does something that irks me. He then asks his wife, because remember, Thami the Terrible and Zithobile are no longer together. They have confirmed this. He then asks his wife to fill in the blanks of the long list of wrongdoings he has committed in his marriage. And that's so disrespectful. It's like, we both know what you did, sir. Why are you wanting me to relive it by telling everyone else what you did? That's so mean-spirited, that's so dark-spirited. Thami is literally an a-hole. He is the worst. He boldly then says that he doesn't know any other mistakes. If there are, only Zithobile knows what they are. And that nobody ever told him that he has flaws. Guys, I'm laughing, but inside, I am crying. He even says that no, he just needed more time to learn. He's infantilizing himself and being like, but no, I was just a child. I was just a child. I just needed more time to learn and grow as a person. And then, only then can everyone be like, now we're watching you. Now you need to do the right thing. Come on, sir. I wanted to kick my TV. When the host asks him whether he would marry himself if he was a woman, he says, absolutely, I'm the best husband there ever was. He is so delulu. He is so full of himself. Thami the Terrible is an a-hole. We find that Zithobile took off her ring while Thami the Terrible was recovering from his accident. She did this because there was no connection at all.
There was no intimacy at all. And I wasn't asking for even sex. I was just asking for his time. Because I'd get home on Friday and he'd be on his phone. I'd greet, hello, how are you? And he'd be on his phone until 10 o'clock at night. I just got home at 6:30. 10 o'clock at night, kind of with my phone.
She even says there was a whole meeting between her mom and Thami's mother, and there was a whole discussion about what Zithobile should be in the circumstance that was given to her, right? She says that she was given the advice to just be his friend. And that's what she did. And within that, she realized that there is no connection. She should not be with Thami the Terrible anymore. And she took off her ring. Hallelujah. Thami does request another chance to fix things with Zithobile, but she rebuffs him very quickly. Yes. She further reiterates that she was not okay seeing him move on with his life without her in her mother's house, that he was being taken care of in.
I would go to work, my mom and my sister would take care of him, give him everything that he needs. And he remembers ugly things like that.
Like, and that is why she had asked him to move out after he had regained his strength back. Thami then requests for Ilove back. He goes into character and then says that if he wasn't working for his wife, who else would he be working for in Dubai? Zithobile is so classy. I would have said, very unsavory things to him, but Zithobile, the class act that she is, she gently rebuffs him and says, no, it's over. I do not want to be with you anymore, Thami. Please accept that. And he's like, okay. He's like, okay. The host did recognize that Thami the Terrible did treat Zithobile horribly. The whole nation recognizes that. And Thami, since he's still like the same misogynistic a-hole, he to this day still wants his wife to be very submissive, to disrobe him, to be this peasant that's there to cater to him 24/7. And finally, hallelujah, Zithobile is not a part of the circus. Thank God. The host then moves on to Sebenzile and Boitshepo. She starts off with saying that how do they feel that people online are saying how perfect they are in public and how in a way they are sort of acting. And Sebenzile answers that and says, no, they do have conflict, but they have their conflict in private. He also does mention their marriage was within a construct of a honeymoon phase. Everything in a way was catered to them. They didn't have to worry about a honeymoon, planning that. They didn't have to worry about looking for a place because production provided that. They didn't have to worry, in a sense, about all of the other stresses that come with being married to someone within that first 6 weeks together. So in a sense, they were in a honeymoon stage of they did have the time to get to know each other without all of these real life stresses putting a lot of pressure on their connection. With that also, that's a big factor in them coming across as fronting and pretending to be this perfect couple. Dr. Anele pitches in and says with Sebenzile and Boitshepo, they did come ready. They came emotionally ready. They came mentally ready. They came into the space ready to receive a wife, receive a husband. And their differences and their conflict doesn't necessarily mean that they are not a good match. We then find out that Sebenzile and Boitshepo have moved to Cape Town recently, and Lobola proceedings will go ahead once everyone has recovered financially. They have been living together since filming, so they've been together 9 months after, so plus the 6 weeks plus the 2 weeks, 2 plus 9, 11 months, essentially close to a year they've been living together. So for them, things are really going great. Then the host moves to Khumo and Thabang. Khumo says that she does recognize that she wasn't there. She wasn't there for the experiment. She wasn't truly invested. And one huge factor also, apart from other people and cheating and other men and whatnot, was her job. Her schedule was so freaking hectic. She explains her work schedule, saying that she would go into work at 4 a.m. and knock off at 1 p.m. and would then go to sleep around 3-4 p.m. so that she could be, wide-eyed and sharp for work the next morning. It ate into the time her and Thabang would have to connect and build a relationship. Khumo also says that they weren't necessarily in love, but they did get along. They clicked from the word jump. They were friends. She also reveals that it was 2 weeks before the recommitment ceremony where they were spending time together without cameras. That's the time where she actually started getting feelings for Thabang.
My decision was that go recommitment, I'm not going to stay. But in the 2 weeks that I was with him, I got to see a different person.
It is also that time that she finally let her guard down, and she, within that time, also had broken up with her side dude guy person. So she had fully zoned in on Thabang. And this is why she had wanted to recommit to Thabang on decision day. Thabang says that he realizes that Khumo was professionally aggressive. She was going after what she wanted career-wise, and in a way was pushing the relationship to the wayside. We find that Boitshepo is still very much offended about how Khumo answered the having regrets question. She does explain that Sebenzile's best man had to leave the day of their marriage because everything was moved a day after it was supposed to happen, because Khumo had brought her family into it, and that is a spot that she will not let anyone just try and touch. And due to that fact, she is not interested in a friendship with Khumo. Khumo proceeds to say she's not going to apologize again. Thabang then also explains that he doesn't communicate well and is very non-confrontational, and it did come across to Khumo as someone who is very uninterested in their connection. Khumo then takes accountability for leaving the door open for the other man in her life, to which she also had opened as you remember, a ghost account that was advising the man on how to get her heart back.
However, what I will take full accountability for was that I left a portal open. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we had to deal with.
She does explain that whenever she felt like Thabang was sort of detaching himself, she would go back to her ex and entertain his advances. She does then say that there is no one else right now, that Thabang is the only man in her life and she is in love. They reveal that they have been living together for the past 6 months. In part 1 of the reunion, right, they had only broken up for a few hours that day, fought for a week, and then got back together. So we just yes. Okay, it's a movie. Bioskop, affiliate. They are on a journey to send a letter of intent of marriage to Khumo's parents' home. The experts then weigh in. Dr. Anele and Dr. Zenda say, usually in life, what we want within a partner is not what we actually need in a partner. The host then closes off the show and asks one last question. Who would they choose as a partner within the cast, the existing cast, knowing what they know now? Khuzo then says he would choose Z, and as a prelude to answering the question, he says that no, this is a trap question, and everybody sort of kind of laughs. But I feel like D would have lost her mind again. Zithobile says that she would have left the experiment immediately. Thami then chooses Khumo because she knows how to dance and sing. The rest of the cast, they choose their current partners. Another question is posed to them asking which is the best and which is the worst couple that has been paired on Married at First Sight Mzansi season 1. Everyone agrees that Zithobile and Thami the Terrible were the worst pair on the show. In the same vein, Z regrets nothing because she has tried everything. She's tried everything and she can sleep with a clear conscience of knowing that Thami the Terrible doesn't pick himself and Zithobile as the worst couple. He picks Sebenzile and Boitepo because he hates Boitepo's guts. Remember the comment about how Thami should pick up after himself because it's not that deep? That's where everything stems from. And also, he's an a-hole. Dr. Anele says that Thami the Terrible needs to work on himself, which is a very kind, nice way of saying he needs to stop being an a-hole. He is saddened by the fact that this experiment has broken someone. In this case, Zithobile. Dr. Zenda closes it off and says that this is a lesson for women in the nation, women all over the world, that if you are in a situation that doesn't serve you, you can leave. We find out that Zithobile is seeing someone new, which makes me so happy. My heart is like, yay! And she is really in a good space, which is such a joy to hear. And then, guys, that's the end of the reunion part 2. The season finale was mid. The only thing that was interesting, I said, was Thami the Terrible, even though, you know, the circumstances that made him so entertaining are quite horrible and bad. So yeah, man. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you so much for becoming a Bioskop with me. I hope you enjoyed watching the series with me. Hopefully there is a season 2. I think there will be. Fingers crossed. And you know what? I will be there to recap every single video, recap every single episode, and have fun with you on the interwebs. So thank you again and bye.